September 1944. Luxembourg, near the German border. A U.S. Army unit rolls into position. Tanks, artillery, trucks, hundreds of vehicles. Thousands of soldiers setting up camp, building fortifications, preparing for battle. German reconnaissance watches from across the border. They report back to headquarters. A full armored division. The American 2nd Armored Division. Hell on wheels. One of the most powerful units in the U.S. Army. Positioned directly across from German lines. Ready to attack. The Germans shift forces to counter this threat. Pull units from other sectors. Reinforce the area. Dig in. Prepare for the American assault. But there's a problem. The 2nd Armored Division isn't there. The tanks aren't real. They're inflatable rubber. The artillery is wooden. The trucks are painted canvas on frames. The radio chatter is scripted. The sounds of an armored division are recordings played through speakers. The entire division is fake. A ghost, an illusion created by 100 American soldiers armed with art supplies, sound equipment, and inflatable tanks. This is the 23rd Headquarters. Special Troops, the Ghost Army, the most unusual unit in World War II. Artists, designers, sound engineers, radio operators, actors, their mission is simple. Deceive the enemy. Make the Germans see things that aren't there. Hear things that don't exist. Believe lies, and they'll do it over 20 times. From Normandy to the Rhine. Saving thousands of American lives through pure deception. Through illusion. Through theater performed on the battlefield. This is their story. January 1944, Camp Forest, Tennessee. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops officially activates. Nobody knows what they're supposed to do. The orders are vague, classified, strange. The unit recruits from an unusual pool. Art students, advertising designers, sound technicians, radio operators. Men who can paint, sculpt, build sets, create illusions. Not your typical infantry. Jack Macy was an art student at Cooper Union in New York. He remembers his recruitment. Jack Macy. They asked if I could draw. If I understood perspective, scale, shadow. I said yes. They handed me a rifle and told me I was in the Army now. Special assignment. Couldn't tell me what. Just said it was important. The unit trains in camouflage, deception, radio operation, but also painting, sculpting, construction. They build fake equipment. Practice setting up dummy positions. Learn sound engineering. How to project noise. Create illusions. It's bizarre, but it's real. And in a few months, they'll be in France, fooling the German army. The Ghost Army uses 4 main deception techniques, each one designed to trick different German intelligence gathering methods. First is visual deception. Inflatable tanks, trucks, artillery pieces. They're remarkably detailed, made of rubber, inflated with air compressors. From a distance, they look real. From the air, they're perfect. A German reconnaissance plane sees a full armored division. Reports it. The Germans respond. Setting up a fake tank takes 4 men about 15 minutes. They inflate it, stake it down, add camouflage netting, position it realistically, create track marks in the mud leading to it, make it look lived in, used. One inflatable Sherman tank weighs about 50 pounds. A real Sherman weighs 30 tons. But from 500 feet up, you can't tell the difference. Second is sonic deception. The 382nd Signal Service Company specializes in sound. They have recordings of tanks moving, engines running, soldiers shouting, equipment clanking. Everything an armored unit makes. They play these through massive speakers mounted on half-tracks. Project the sound miles away. The Germans hear an armored division moving up. Assume it's real. The sound library is extensive. Tank engines idling. Tank engines under load. Trucks moving in convoy. Artillery pieces being positioned. Radio chatter. Everything. Mixed together, it creates a soundscape. A sonic picture of a military unit that doesn't exist. Third is radio deception. Fake radio traffic. The Ghost Army has operators who mimic the radio patterns of real units. Call signs. Message formats. Encryption patterns. They broadcast fake orders, fake reports, fake chatter. German signals intelligence intercepts it, analyzes it, concludes a real unit is operating in that area. Fourth is special effects. This is everything else. Fake insignia on vehicles, fake shoulder patches on uniforms. Actors playing high-ranking officers, driving through towns so civilians see them and report to German spies. Spreading rumors in bars, creating a complete picture of a unit that isn't there. Combined, these four techniques create a ghost, an illusion so complete the Germans believe it. June 1944. The Ghost Army deploys to France. 2 weeks after D-Day. Normandy is still a battle zone. The beachhead is expanding, but the fighting is brutal. Every mile costs lives. The Ghost Army's first mission is Operation Elephant. The objective is to cover the movement of the 2nd Armored Division as it repositions for an attack. The Ghost Army will impersonate the 2nd Armored, make the Germans think the division is still in its old position, while the real division moves 50 miles south. They set up near the coast, inflate rubber tanks, position wooden artillery, set up radio equipment and begin broadcasting fake traffic. The sonic deception team plays recordings of tank movements through their speakers at night, making it sound like the 2nd Armored is still there, still active, still preparing for operations. German reconnaissance reports confirm it. The 2nd Armored Division is still in position near the coast. No movement detected. Meanwhile, the real 2nd Armored Division is moving south. Undetected, they position for a surprise attack. When they strike, the Germans are caught completely off guard. The attack succeeds. Ground is taken. Casualties are light, because the Germans weren't prepared. The Ghost Army's first operation is a success. But nobody can talk about it. It's classified. The men can't even tell each other what they're really doing. They just know it worked. August 1944, Operation Brittany. The Ghost Army impersonates the 6th Armored Division. The real 6th Armored is attacking toward Brest. The Germans need to think the 6th Armored is still near Reeden, preparing for a different attack. The Ghost Army sets up camp. Inflatable tanks, wooden guns, radio traffic, sound effects. But this time they add special effects. Officers wearing 6th Armored insignia drive through nearby towns. Stop at cafes. Talk loudly about operations. Make sure they're seen. Civilians report to German intelligence. The 6th Armored Division is near Reeden. Meanwhile, the real 6th Armored is already attacking Brest. By the time the Germans realize the deception, it's too late. Brest falls, the Ghost Army is getting better, more confident, more creative. September 1944, Luxembourg, Operation Bettembourg. This is the big one. The Ghost Army will impersonate not one but two divisions. The 5th Armored Division and the 90th Infantry Division. Convince the Germans that a massive American force is building up near Luxembourg City. Make them reinforce that sector. Pull troops from other areas. The Ghost Army goes all in. Hundreds of inflatable tanks and vehicles. Dozens of fake artillery positions. Constant radio traffic. Sound trucks running day and night. Officers in fake uniforms visiting every town in the area. Spreading the word. Building the illusion. The Germans take the bait. They intercept radio traffic. See the tanks from reconnaissance flights. Hear reports from spies and collaborators. They conclude 2 full American divisions are preparing for a major offensive near Luxembourg. They shift forces. Pull units from quieter sectors. Strengthen defenses in Luxembourg. But the real American attack comes elsewhere. 30 miles north. Lightly defended because the Germans moved their troops south. The attack breaks through, advances deep into German territory. The Ghost Army's deception saved countless American lives. Ned Harris, a soldier in the Ghost Army, remembers the aftermath. Ned Harris. We heard later that our operation pulled 2 German divisions away from where the real attack happened. 2 divisions. That's 20,000 men who weren't there to shoot at our guys. We didn't fire a shot. We just painted and inflated and played recordings, and we saved lives. October 1944. Operation Wiltz. The Ghost Army sets up near the German border. This time, they're creating a defensive deception, making the Germans think a strong American force is holding a particular sector. Deterring them from attacking there, they inflate tanks, position them defensively, dug in, hull down, like they're prepared to defend. Radio traffic suggests large numbers of troops, artillery, supplies. The sonic team plays sounds of construction. Fortifications being built, troops moving into defensive positions. German patrols probe the sector. See the tanks. Hear the activity. Report back. The Americans are heavily fortified here. Better to attack somewhere else. The real American forces in that sector are thin, stretched. If the Germans attacked in force, they might break through. But they don't attack. They go around, attack a different sector where American forces are actually stronger and ready. The Ghost Army's illusion holds. The line doesn't break, but the work isn't glamorous. It's cold, exhausting, dangerous. Setting up a fake armored division takes days. The men work around the clock, inflating tanks in freezing rain, hammering stakes into frozen ground, stringing camouflage netting, positioning vehicles precisely, creating realistic tracks and disturbances, making everything look lived in, and they're close to the front lines, sometimes very close. Enemy artillery can reach them. Patrols can stumble onto their positions. If the Germans discover the deception, the Ghost Army soldiers are sitting ducks. They have minimal weapons, no real armor, no support, just art supplies and rubber tanks. Bill Blass, who would later become a famous fashion designer, served in the Ghost Army. He describes a close call. Bill Blass: "We were setting up inflatables near the front. It was dusk, cold, we heard engines. German engines, a patrol, maybe a half-track and some infantry. We froze, literally. Just stood there next to these rubber tanks hoping they wouldn't come closer. If they'd gotten within 100 yards, they'd have seen what we were. We'd have been slaughtered, but they turned away, went a different direction. We didn't breathe for 5 minutes. The Ghost Army loses men. Not many, but some. Artillery hits their positions. Patrols clash with German scouts. Disease and accidents. The war doesn't care that you're an artist." December 1944. The Battle of the Bulge begins. Hitler's last major offensive in the West. German forces smash through American lines in the Ardennes, create chaos, threaten to split the Allied armies. The Ghost Army is called in. Multiple operations. They need to create illusions all along the front, make the Germans think American reinforcements are arriving in places they're not. Buy time for real units to reposition. Operation Koblenz. The Ghost Army impersonates the 75th Infantry Division. They set up south of the Bulge, make the Germans think a fresh division is moving to cut off the German advance from the south. The Germans divert forces to counter this threat, forces that could have been pushing deeper into the American lines. Operation Beyer. The Ghost Army sets up near the Rhine, creates the illusion of a major crossing operation being prepared. Inflatable boats, fake bridging equipment, radio traffic about engineering units, pontoon bridges, assault schedules. The Germans reinforce the Rhine defenses in that sector, pull troops from other areas, but the real Rhine crossings will happen elsewhere. Weeks later, in different locations, the Ghost Army plants the seed of worry, makes the Germans spread their forces thin. The Ghost Army operates through the winter into 1945 as Allied forces push into Germany. Each operation is different. Each requires creativity, adaptation, problem-solving. Sometimes the deceptions are small. Fake artillery battery to make Germans think a sector is better defended than it is. Sometimes they're massive. Entire fake divisions, complete with hundreds of vehicles, extensive radio networks, and elaborate special effects. The men become expert at their craft. They can set up a convincing fake tank company in a few hours. They know how to position vehicles for maximum visual impact, how to create realistic track patterns, how to weather camouflage to make it look used, how to mimic the radio signature of any American unit. They're artists, but they're also soldiers, living in tents, eating rations, getting shelled, watching friends die, doing their job in a war zone. Harold Dahl, a Ghost Army soldier, later said this. Harold Dahl: "People think we had it easy, playing with rubber toys. But we were right there, at the front, close enough to get killed, and the pressure was insane. If we screwed up, if the Germans figured out the deception, real soldiers died. Every operation, we knew lives depended on us getting it right. That's not easy." March 1945, Operation Viersen, Part 2. The Rhine Crossing. The real one. The Ghost Army supports the actual assault by creating diversionary deceptions up and down the river. They set up fake crossing sites, inflatable boats, wooden pontoons, fake engineering equipment, radio chatter about crossing times, unit assignments, supply deliveries. The sonic teams play sounds of construction, boats being launched, engines revving. The Germans see these preparations at multiple points along the Rhine. They spread their defenses, try to cover every possible crossing site. Their forces are diluted, stretched thin. When the real crossings happen, they're successful. German resistance is lighter than expected. The Ghost Army's deceptions worked. Again, April 1945. The war is ending. Everyone knows it. Germany is collapsing. The Ghost Army continues operations, but the missions are smaller, less critical. The outcome of the war is no longer in doubt. May 8, 1945. Germany surrenders. The war in Europe is over. The Ghost Army's mission is complete. In total, they conducted over 20 major deceptions, impersonated dozens of real units, created the illusion of tens of thousands of soldiers and hundreds of tanks that never existed, fooled German intelligence again and again, and they saved lives. Estimates vary, but some historians believe the Ghost Army's deception saved between 10 and 30,000 American lives. By drawing enemy forces away from real attacks, by making defenses seem stronger than they were, by creating confusion and hesitation in the German command, all with art, sound, radio, theater. After the war, the Ghost Army is classified, top secret. The men are told never to speak about what they did. The deceptions might be useful in future wars. The techniques need to stay secret. For decades, the Ghost Army is forgotten. The men go home, return to civilian life. Many become successful artists, designers, photographers. Bill Blass becomes a fashion icon. Ellsworth Kelly becomes a famous painter. Art Kane becomes a legendary photographer. But they can't talk about the war, about what they really did. Their families don't know. Their friends don't know. It's locked away, classified. It's not until the 1990s that the Ghost Army story begins to emerge. Documents are declassified. Veterans start talking. Historians piece together the operations. Books are written. Documentaries made. The world learns about the Ghost Army, about the artists who fought with paintbrushes and inflatable tanks, about the deceptions that saved thousands of lives. Today, the Ghost Army is celebrated. Museums display their inflatable tanks, their artwork, their recordings. Schools teach about them. Their story is part of military history now. In 2022, the Ghost Army receives the Congressional Gold Medal, America's highest civilian honor, recognition for their service, for their creativity, for their courage. Only a handful of Ghost Army veterans are still alive to receive it. They're in their late 90s. The youngest are near 100. They accept the medal on behalf of the 100 men who served in the unit. One veteran, Bernie Bluestein, age 99, says this at the ceremony. Bernie Bluestein: "We didn't think of ourselves as heroes. We were just doing a job, using the skills we had, art, sound, creativity. We couldn't fight like infantrymen, but we could fight like this, and it worked. That's all that mattered. The Ghost Army proved something important. That war isn't just about firepower, it's about information, deception, making the enemy see what you want them to see, believe what you want them to believe. The techniques the Ghost Army developed are still used today. Modern militaries employ deception units, electronic warfare decoys, false information, psychological operations, all descendants of what the Ghost Army pioneered. But the Ghost Army did it with almost nothing. Rubber and canvas, paint and speakers, creativity and courage. They created ghosts, illusions, armies that didn't exist. And those ghosts won battles, saved lives, changed the course of the war. That's the power of deception. The power of art. The power of thinking differently. The 23rd Headquarters Special Troops, the Ghost Army, won 100 men. Artists and soldiers. They fought World War II with paintbrushes, inflatable tanks, and imagination. They fooled the German army over 20 times. They saved thousands of American lives, and for 50 years nobody knew they existed. Now we know. We remember. We honor what they did, because sometimes the greatest weapon isn't a gun. It's an idea, an illusion, a ghost. This was the Ghost Army. The artists who won battles without firing a shot. The soldiers who proved that creativity can be as powerful as firepower. Remember them. Remember that courage comes in many forms. That heroism isn't always about charging into battle. Sometimes it's about standing behind a rubber tank, hoping the enemy doesn't look too closely. The Ghost Army, the greatest deception of World War II, and one of the greatest untold stories of the war. Their legacy lives on. In every military deception operation, in every creative solution to an impossible problem, in every reminder that thinking differently can change everything. They were artists. They were soldiers. They were ghosts, and they were real.